Good morning. This is Bill from Out of Europe in Naples on it's a muggy Florida Wednesday, but it doesn't matter because the front is blowing through today. We're going to get perilous rain for about 30 minutes, a violent whipping of wind, and right after it is going to be a cold front, and that cold front is going to linger for a while. 4 days, 4 wonderful days of 40-degree lows, and I am really looking forward to it. Could be our last hurrah this winter. Doesn't matter. Well, it does matter because otherwise I go insane. But anyway, long story short, I get 4 great days that I'm going to enjoy. And in continuing with our Cadillac theme this week, which by the way is completely accidental, there certainly isn't a planned Cadillac theme, it's just working out that way. I have this it's a 2001 Cadillac Eldorado convertible. Now, some people are going to say, okay, well, Cadillac didn't build a convertible in 2001 in the Eldorado, and that is very, very true. In fact, this is a custom-made convertible. The good news is it was done by people who know what the hell they're doing. Back when I was in high school, a good friend of mine, Life, I've talked about him in other videos. You know, people say his name is Leaf. He says it's Life. When you correct him and tell him his name is Leaf, he'll tell you, yeah, let's go get a Budweiser or a Heineken or it's just Heineken, I don't know, whatever. Anyway, he gets very upset about it. But apparently his name is Life, which is completely irrelevant. What is relevant is he sawed the roof off his 260Z back in high school. He had a, tin top 260Z. We're here in Florida, and he decided, what the hell, I'm going to get some sun. So he broke out a Sawzall, cut the roof off, and the thing was kind of already a piece of shit, and it became a much, much worse piece of shit because it wasn't designed to have a open top. It turned out that the roof on that car was structural and it needed to be there in order for the car to be tight. So now when the thing went over a bump, the rear end would be a foot higher than the front end. It just all got very wonky. And that is the challenge, of course, in building a convertible. And that challenge becomes even more dramatic when you're trying to convert a non-convertible to a convertible. Fortunately, this company, Classic, what the hell is it? It's written on the back thing. I always forget it. Yeah, Coach Builders Limited. They're out of Florida somewhere. They have a system to make these cars stiff enough to be a convertible, and they do a very professional job with it. The bad news is it's not cheap. So, a guy who went out in '01 and bought this Cadillac for, 45 grand, which was pretty expensive, drove it over to these cats who for another 25 grand would turn it into a convertible. So all of a sudden you had a pretty expensive Cadillac going. On top of that, with the Vogue tires and the chrome wheels, it kind of looks like Paulie Gualtieri from The Sopranos might have retired to Florida and wanted to get a little bit of sun. But again, it's rooted in classic Cadillac styling. And even though I've never been a fan of front-wheel drive Cadillac Eldorados of this generation, or oh, God. Yeah, the Eldorado almost gets a pass because my favorite Eldorado of all time, the late 1960s Eldorado, was actually a front-drive car, albeit a full frame with a giant big block, but it was front-wheel drive, and every successive Eldorado after that was also front-wheel drive. So Cadillac gets to kind of sneak this modern front-wheel drive Eldorado past the gatekeepers of what should be a proper Cadillac by pointing to that and saying, these things are historically front-wheel drive. I think it's bullshit, but we're going to go with it. Anyway, you can see the lines on the car are actually quite nice. In many ways, this was the last hurrah for the original Cadillac theme of being big, luxurious things that were kind of fun to move down the road, had tons of power, lots of bling and luxury appointments. After this, it was over. They went into that art and science thing with the CTS, and they became a completely different car. I remember when the CTS-V came out, and they were talking about, all its horsepower and its manual gearbox and the way it could keep up with the BMWs and Mercedes. It's great. It's an incredible Cadillac, but it's built by people who really don't like Cadillacs very much. And I think that holds true of most modern cars from this mark. This could well have been the last of the Cadillacs. The name Eldorado, even, fantastic name, love it. There's some debate as to where it came from, but there really is only one answer, because the other answer you're going to hear from people, it couldn't be. It came out like 5 years after the car was named, and that was that it was after some ranch in, Arizona where GM employees like to vacation. In fact, there was a naming contest back in, I want to say, 1952, and a very nice young lady, a secretary with General Motors, came up with the name Eldorado based on the Gilded One. It's kind of a contraction of some different Spanish names, but basically means, the Gold City or the Gold One. And of course, she was making 72 cents on the dollar after she came up with probably one of the most quintessential Cadillac names of all time. It's very, very likely she got fired for being pregnant or something. Anyway, so here it is. This now is the 12th generation Cadillac Eldorado. That's a lot of generations. I myself had I don't know how many Buick Riviera. It would have been a 10th generation Cadillac, but it was an 85 Buick Riviera, and I loved it. It was like the greatest car I'd ever been in at the time, and I drove it for years, even long past I should have been driving it, but I still did, and God, did I love that thing. But anyway, we'll get back. So 12 generations of these things. This one lasted a long time, all the way from like 93 or 4 through 2002, when the final ones were built. And there was a time when the Eldorado was the car. I mean, it was the most expensive in the Cadillac lineup, the most luxurious, the most well-equipped. It was driven very often by doctors. It was called a doctor's car. And, of course, all those times have long since gone. Real shame. And what are you going to do? I also remember when the first Eldorado Touring Coupe came out, Cadillac resisted the urge to call it the Etc. And I was quite surprised that they eventually did go to that, because it seems like a dumb thing to have on the back of the car. Who the hell wants a car called the Etc.? I see our detailer's left a little bit of string right next to the tailpipes that he didn't bother polishing. Anyway, I tell you what, I'm going to get into this thing. We're just going to start getting into it. So let's start inside the trunk. There's the crest of the, now we know, scandalous and phony Antoine de Moth de la Cadillac, or Sir La Cadillac. What a liar, a cheat, and a fraud he was. But anyway, and again, ducks. Why the hell ducks? I mean, if you're going to create a family nobility crest out of whole cloth, why do you pick ducks? I think that has something to do with him being French. Anyway, very nice back here for a convertible. You get a pretty big trunk because, of course, it was never meant to be a convertible. They do get rid of some of the back area in order to make that happen. You do have an infant containment net in this one, so if you have any babies or toddlers, you're going to be able to stuff them in there, and they can paw at the little net thing. They can try to get out, but the chances are they're going to be trapped, and they're going to stay in there until you hit your next stop. So very nice way to carry children in this car. Also does have the, God, that's a heavy, heavy trunk. Does have the suck down. Now, because this is an ETC, the Touring Coupe, the top of the line that's supposed to be sporty, you see they get these big quad pipes at the bottom. All the chrome trim that might have been on other Cadillacs is now blacked out, and they're trying to give you that sort of European M3 look in a Cadillac, which God, I don't know. Does it even really go with the chrome wheels to have the blacked out trim? To some extent it does, but I don't know. You can tell the death of Cadillac was imminent, or at least the Cadillac that I loved. You had a real overachiever put these pinstripes on. It must have taken him like 4 hours to come up with this design. They do look quite nice, and they work with the car, particularly matching the yellow rings on the Vogue tires. Have a look under the hood. Hard to believe how expensive this thing was. That's the thing about these Cadillacs, is they're really expensive for like 2 years, and then they become the exclusive domains of, single moms riding around on a temp spare, going to the, local grocery store to pick up some baby milk formula on her EBT card. But anyway, I don't know. I think these converted convertibles really do work quite well and keep their value, so that's kind of a neat thing. Okay, this is the second generation Northstar, which is a good thing because people have started to hate the first generation Northstar for its problems. This one is not going to explode into massive oil leaks and otherwise is going to keep running pretty nice. It's a very advanced motor. It was originally developed by Oldsmobile's R&D department and then quickly robbed by Cadillac, and now is essentially synonymous with Cadillac. In fact, you know, when the GM brass robbed it from Oldsmobile, the Cadillac guy was probably hiding behind him, giving the finger to the Oldsmobile guys and laughing. So anyway, Cadillac ended up with it. I think it was the Aurora initially, if you remember that old thing. I'd like to see one of those again. Anyway, it's a, you know, overhead cam, VVT, you know, distributorless, very, very advanced motor, very lovely, plenty of pep. They came in two forms in 2001. The standard had 275 horse and a little bit more torque, and the ETC got the hopped up version, this one, 300 horsepower, which is pretty healthy, and a pretty good torque rating. That's made into a nice smooth shifting 4-speed automatic, and the thing goes down the road with great pep. Very, very cool, but of course front wheel drive. If it wasn't for that 60s model, I'd be annoyed. I don't know what we have here. Fuel inject and cleaning. Yeah, okay, whatever. Anyway, all very nice and proper under the hood of this ridiculously low mileage Cadillac. Look at that, even the grill is blacked out in this thing. Even the grill. You do get those very nice sort of composite headlamps with fog lights beneath. And is it a handsome design? It is. You know, it is a handsome design, but it doesn't have the swoopy, curvy loveliness to me that the original Eldorados were known for. What I'm going to do is put this top up. Actually, I got to open the trunk again to do that because I'm going to put these guys inside. So these little panels, they finish things off when it's up. Very nicely fitted. You do get that for your 25 grand. Chuck that in there. Chuck this one in here. And I do have to admit that for a convertible conversion, they really did a fantastic job at making it feel factory, including this power tonneau cover, which, you know, is essentially the way most of these factory convertibles are built anyway. So, all right, we're gonna crank it up. You have to keep your foot on the brake. They've got a little weird rocker switch down here for the top. Let me see if I can run it while I'm reversing camera. So look at that. I mean, very factory-esque. Up comes this very nicely finished soft top. Not the fastest guy in the world, but up it comes. Down goes that back cover. And there it is. So now we're gonna push this guy forward. It's gonna go into those little hooks. Look how nicely all that is finished up there. And again, I guess you paid for it. Run our 4 windows up over here. And we'll have a look at what we got. So there it is. A lovely roof line. Actually reminds me of the earlier Eldorados. Glass back window. Very, very nice. I like the creamy colored top that now matches the interior of the car, and does look quite striking with the top up. You can also tell that it is actually a convertible and not some silly, you know, vinyl top thing with where they made it look like a convertible. You know, if you think it's ugly now, you should see it with the top down kind of thing. It actually looks pretty good, fits nicely, and is a terrific conversion. But what we're going to do is very quickly get that back down again, because that is the way this car should be enjoyed. So we're just going to do everything in the reverse. The key in the ignition. Fire it up. Open up our little hooky things here. Hopefully I'm pressing this through. Let's get our windows back down. Make things easier. I like the Eldorado script and the door panels. Oh, what a lost thing. This car, what is it now? Like the CTS 540 or something. All right. God, this is hard to do with Only one hand. Let's see. All right, so there it is. So now the top folds back neatly into its compartment. You can see the fit and finish on that top is exceptional. Down goes the top cover and locks itself into place. Lovely stuff. So now we've got our convertible back again. Okay, so while we're inside, let's have a look at that. I've got these, I'll hop out for it. We've got these, I don't know, I think they're 12 or 83-way power seats. Very, very nice, lovely soft leather, befitting the Eldorado name. In the back, you've got plenty of room for, all this twisted up, plenty of room for 2 adults, no problem. Your kids are in the little net in the back, so your friends can be in the back of this thing with you. You can throw their kids back there too. But anyway, a lovely, fine place to be, and they do have air conditioning vents to keep them cool, so your Canadians are going to be very chipper there. Love the Zebrano wood on the car, straight out of a Mercedes. Again, GM had cheapened up a lot by the time. Well, they cheapened up in like 1976, so they'd been cheap for a long time. But all things considered, it's quite nice. You do have some leather here. Here comes our Tard detailer. I mean, okay, I'm sorry. I know I'm not supposed to say that word. A maroon, a nitwit. Somehow the exhaust is a continuing problem on that thing, so he keeps having to remove more and more parts of it. And essentially he's down now to stock manifolds going into a Y-pipe on an S10. I mean, sometimes the stupid just burns. It just burns. And it's one of the reasons that I'm drinking whiskey in the morning. And look at this thing. We have a big giant wasp sitting here on the door panel waiting to sting the crap out of me. That's wonderful. That's absolutely wonderful. Look at him twiggling his little back shit. All right, Rouse. Come on, Rouse. Rouse. Where'd he go? Still in the car. Yeah, now he's on the headrest. God damn it, do I hate these things. Now he's on the seatbelt. All right, there he goes. Thank God. Jesus, do I hate wasps. Oh my, now there's a fly. I hate them almost as much as birds. Anyway, you got your 52-way power seats with lumbar. You got your mirrors. I don't know why Cadillac needs 2 giant switches for their door locks. I mean, one is going to do. Do you really need 2? But anyway, there they are. You got your power windows, your memory seats, your power mirrors. Over here, a very generic looking, for a very low, $45,000 car. And I mean, it has the light control out of a Chevy pickup truck. You got your fogs, your Twilight Sentinel. You do have a nice wood and leather steering wheel. Very, very cool. Gives you your climate controls on the right side, the left side. Your radio controls on the right side. It does tilt. Nice stuff. You got your wiper and headlight controls there. More headlight. What is that on? That's just high beam, low beam. There you see just 28,000 miles on the clock of this thing. I don't know what it is with the frame rates on the cameras, but they make everything flash and look silly. I mean, it's perfect static. Let me see how close I can get so you can see it. Yeah, I don't know. It's not flashing at all. It's absolutely perfect, but for some reason, the camera makes it look like it's flashing. It's another thing to annoy me on a normal day. All right, seatbelt on. Let's see what we got. They're usually 17.9 average miles per hour. Miles per hour? That's ridiculous. And that guy's going really slow. Timer. We've got a timer if we want to take it. There's a battery volts. Lots of oil life left. English and metric. Range. Average, 15, it could be worse. Instant average, thing idled a lot, 49 gallons of fuel used. I was going to leave it off. The hell with it. Better. You have a very, cheap looking instrument cluster, but I suppose it's fine. You've got your 150 mile an hour speedometer, your temp gauge, your warning lights down here on the left and right. Thank God they're not on. You've got your fuel gauge over there, and you've got, very simple, easy to read instrument cluster. Over here you've got your what is this? The rest we got in the radio. This is the oldie station.
It's beautiful and functional.
Which recently has been starting to play songs that I like, which I found really disconcerting. It really does mean something that I don't want to confront. But anyway, a nice fancy Bose system with AM and FM and a CD changer and cassette deck. So you can probably, if you're over the age of 50, amuse yourself with that. You know, obviously, if you're a kid, you're not going to have your Instagrams and your iPods and your Facebooks and Twitters and TikToks and whatever else these, you know, snowflakes are using to complain to each other. But, you know, most normal people will get by with this. You do have a nice climate control unit. Again, all of it ensconced in this nice Zebrano wood. Freezing air conditioning in this thing. Good heat. The heated seats, I could only say they're too much. They're too much. Even in the low setting, after like 2 minutes, you feel like you're getting done up like a, you know, an open-sided egg. It's just a lot to deal with. But I suppose in a really cold morning in Wisconsin, you'll like them. In here you have a genuine ashtray. Nice if you want to use that. Very standard-looking leather shifter. You've got a place here for cup holders. Very, very nice. You got Cadillac script on the wood over there. You've got Cadillac books. I get the valet. I guess that's going to block out the trunk. If you want to turn off the traction control and light up the front tires, you can do it with that. All very nice. Up here you've got a self-dimming mirror with, what do they call that, OnStar. So press that, you get some cranky broad asking you to, I don't know, probably to sign up for a monthly fee. You got mirrors, you got this nicely trimmed and finished stuff, part of your $25,000 investment in the convertible, and of course HomeLink. You also have lovely gun storage in here, which is going to be useful for Paulie. He's going to be able to fit a very nice size 9, a 40, 357, yeah, whatever Paulie needs, he's going to be able to fit right in there. You know, he's not going to bring a big gun with him. I mean, he may just need to take out the guy cutting the lawns or something. So certainly a 9mm would do. Get that temp down. I don't know why I had the heat on. And again, look at the flashing on this thing. You know, people watch the video and they think, oh my God, the car's got horrible electrical issues. Well, it does not. It's stupid frame rate on the camera. All right, with 300 horsepower in a V8 with torque driving the front wheels, if you hammer it, you are going to get torque steer. There's absolutely no way around that. The wheel will jerk itself a little bit. Now, the good news is this thing is loaded. Look at this. This is a car that I just couldn't resist. I bought it at that collector car auction. Basically a triple green 78 Cougar. Probably the ugliest car that I've ever seen. I bought it for Marty to drive because he hates green cars. And I thought we'd have a bit of fun with it. But the one reason I do like those late 70s coupes like that is I get to drive around feeling like a TV detective. You know, I could be named McNulty or something, and, you know, I'd be crabby. I'd have a big revolver. The captain would be yelling at me, you know, God damn it, McNulty, those suspects have rights. And I'd be, you know, what about the rights of that girl who got, you know, beat up by Harvey Weinstein? Whatever it is, it would be fun. I drive around and I amuse myself with that because God knows somebody has to amuse yourself sometimes. Nothing else is too exciting. Anyway, where the hell was I? Oh yeah, torque steer. But this thing is loaded with all these electronic gadgetry stuff. It's got StabiliTrak, a very advanced traction control, which uses another suspension control called RSS, if I remember right, or SSR, the continuously variable suspension, whatever it is. It uses these little magnetic donuts that sense the road and will react accordingly and stiffen it or lighten it as needed. And the StabiliTrak will work with the ABS as well to, you know, if it senses you're going into some kind of a ridiculous tailspin or drifting out, it's going to apply a brake to one wheel or the other to kind of keep you going, keep you together. And that's all very nice. So the car does have a lot of you know, driving assistance stuff that really does, you know, help keep you safe. Good anti-lock brakes. The second gen Northstar also would run on regular gas, which is a nice cost savings. And there you go. Now the car does drive nice. I have to say, for one of these sort of modern front drive Cadillacs from the era that I'm not hugely fond of, it does drive like a big car, and I think that's pretty cool. You get, it has Magna-Steer. That's a variable steering effort, so it's going to give you more effort at speed and less effort in the parking lot. But you know, it does have a nice feel to it. You feel like you're in kind of a heavy car, which is good. You know, you do feel the V8 underneath. You got this soft leather on your rump. And I don't know, I mean, you're in a Cadillac. I mean, it's undoubtable, it's undeniable. It's not the Cadillac that I would choose or, you know, be the most happy with, but it's still a Cadillac. That's great. Big truck guys. I love it that they've gotten aggressive, even more so, and started to put exhaust on. You know, it's stuff like that that encourages our nitwit detailer to start pulling exhaust parts off his car. Anyway, there's our little bit of wheel spin. There's some lovely V8 sound. I think 0 to 60 is under 7 seconds in this thing, so it is pretty peppy. And lovely. I feel, you know, I'm on my way to the Bada Bing, the strip club. I'm going to meet with Tony. I'm going to, you know, talk about how the envelope's a little bit light this week, or maybe I'm heading over to the yacht club to meet with Mr. and Mrs. Howell, who showed up in their, you know, Brome d'Elegance, and we're going to, you know, argue politics over a nice plate of pate or something. So a lot of different types of people can drive this car. I think Doogie Howser, back in the 80s, he had an Eldorado. And of course, there is a certain collectability. Even being an aftermarket conversion, there's a neatness factor to this that does make it interesting. In many ways, you could say it's the last Eldorado convertible. At a minimum, it's the last Eldorado. And hats off to that nice young secretary who named it all those years ago. You know, I hope the kid turned out all right. Anyway, this one is for sale on the lot. If you have an interest, give us a call, 239-298-8000. Ask for Marty, or you can look at it on the web at aenaples.com. Thank you so much for having a look. Tomorrow we might have another Cadillac. We might have an Alante. I did buy one of those, or we might have an SLK that's coming up. So we'll see. One of the two. Thanks anyway for looking, and we'll see you soon. Take care.